Just a ton of breaking news right now. A bombshell political explosion with Joe Biden last night in the middle of Kamala's speech on the ellipse, calling Trump supporters garbage, referring to the Puerto Rico comic or the comic that made the bad joke about Puerto Rico. And then moments ago, the United States Supreme Court has sided with Glenn Youngkin, handing Virginia a massive victory. What a crazy idea that non-citizens should be precluded from voting in Virginia. Well, guess what? The Supreme Court just stepped up in a big way.
Breaking now on the Mike Gallagher Show.
The U.S. Supreme Court has officially ruled against the ability of non-citizen voters in Virginia. This has been an initiative from the Republican governor there, Glenn Youngkin, to purge the voter rolls of non-citizens. And, you know, lower courts had tried to uphold the ability to, well, cheat and try to steal the election in Virginia. Well, the Supreme Court has sided with Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin and is blocking non-citizen voters in the state of Virginia. This is a huge, huge development in Virginia with 6 days to go before the election. So this is like Christmas today. It's Christmas a little early. We got a bunch of breaking news. And of course, last night, you might have been watching the World Series like I was. I could not bring myself to watch Kamala on the ellipse at all. I know I should have watched. It's my job, but they'll have to fire me because I couldn't put myself through it. I just couldn't. I mean, I knew in advance. You knew what she was going to do. She picked that spot to try to hammer January 6th. I'm sick of being called a fascist. I'm sick of being called a Nazi. I'm disgusted with the way the Democrats are treating their political opponents. And last night, in real time, Trump was at a campaign rally with Marco Rubio in Pennsylvania. And this all unfolded in a remarkable way. Marco Rubio, the Florida senator, took to the stage to inform Trump and the crowd what was breaking, a huge breaking political bombshell, Biden calling all Trump supporters garbage.
All right, well, I wasn't going to say anything, but I have breaking news for you, Mr. President. You may not have heard this. Just moments ago, Joe Biden stated that our supporters are garbage. Are garbage. He's talking about the Border Patrol. He's talking about nurses. He's talking about teachers. He's talking about everyday Americans who love their country and want to dream big again and support you, Mr. President. And I hope their campaign is about to apologize for what Joe Biden just said. We are not garbage. We are patriots who love America. And thank you for running, Mr. President.
Wow. And you could see the look of disappointment on Trump's face because he was just hearing that for the first time. And we all ought to be disappointed. We need to reject this. We need to reject the Democrat Party. And as of airtime, right now, Kamala Harris has yet to apologize or denounce President Biden's remarks. Immediately, NPR and NBC and ABC and CBS, they all went into damage control mode. They tried to claim it was out of context. He didn't really say it quite the way it's being portrayed. Well, the good news is there's tape. Here is exactly what Joe Biden said during a Latino campaign Zoom call on behalf of Kamala Harris.
Or Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware, they're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
The only garbage I see floating out there are his supporters. Those are the words of the 46th president of the United States. And if you're not angry at that, you're just not paying attention. If you're not willing to reject that, if you're going to let the Democrats disparage you that way, well, that's not a country I recognize. They've been calling us fascists. They've been calling us Nazis. They called the Madison Square Garden rally a Nazi rally. Trump posted on X last night, while I'm running a campaign of positive solutions to save America, Kamala is running a campaign of hate. She has spent all week comparing her political opponents to the most evil mass murderers in history. Now, on top of everything else, Biden calls our supporters garbage. Trump said, you can't lead America if you don't love the American people. And it is absolutely riveting to me that the media spent days fixated on a podcaster's stupid joke at the Madison Square Garden rally. A pre-show warm-up act. And they turned it into the big and most important story in the country. It's over for Trump now. Look at that. A comic called Puerto Rico a floating garbage island. And then last night, the sitting president, not a podcaster, the president, calls more than half of America, his party's opposition, garbage. Clear as day, you just heard it. There's no out of context. There's no stutter. There's no stammer. He said what he said. He called all Trump supporters garbage. Apparently, Biden thinks that Corey Compatore, who was shot dead at the Butler, Pennsylvania rally, the firefighter who was killed shielding his precious daughter from the would-be assassin's bullets, I guess Biden thinks he's garbage. And frankly, apparently Kamala thinks that we're garbage. Because we haven't heard an apology. We haven't heard her denounce him. And moments ago, apparently, she finally has. We'll get Kamala's reaction to this disastrous remark by Joe Biden, her surrogate, her out campaigning for her, calling the American people who support somebody other than her garbage. And I can't wait to hear her little press event trying to do damage control at Joint Base Andrews. We'll play her reaction coming up here on the Mike Gallagher Show. But of course, most importantly, I want your reaction as we kick things off for a Wednesday. It's a little bit like Christmas in October, isn't it? Great news from the Supreme Court. What a crazy idea. You got to be a citizen of the United States in order to vote in Virginia. Sorry, Democrats, you lose. Supreme Court rules in favor of Glenn Youngkin. And last night, Joe Biden called all Trump supporters garbage. We'll see what the princess, Her Highness Kamala Harris, has to say about Joe Biden's remarks. We'll play them for you coming up next here on the very rare press event. It's so bad that she felt a need to go one-on-one with reporters at Joint Base Andrews. We're going to hear what she has to say about it next here on the Mike Gallagher Show. Don't go away.
Breaking now on the Mike Gallagher Show.
The Democrats are having a very, very bad day. Republicans, Donald Trump, having a very good day. The Supreme Court allowed Virginia to remove individuals identified as non-citizens from the voter rolls. This was pausing a lower court ruling that prevented Virginia officials from removing individuals who self-identified as non-citizens. That's how crazy the courts are. That's how crazy today's justice system is. Ask Steve Bannon, who was a political prisoner for 4 months, who incidentally came out of prison looking like he spent a month at the beach. He got a lot of sun. He was energized and fired up. Good for him. And then last night, during Kamala's speech, Joe Biden held a press conference and called, let's play it real quick, cut one. Here's Joe Biden. This is what he said that has created this political firestorm that is so bad that Kamala broke her rule of not going one-on-one and holding press conferences. And at the foot of Air Force Two, moments ago, she addressed what Biden said. And I'll let you decide whether her response is going to put out the fire or not. But just so you have it, here's what Joe Biden said last night.
Or Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware. They're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
Wow. The only garbage I see floating out there are his supporters. Then the White House, in a desperate effort to clean it up, changed the transcript of what he actually said. Biden tried to walk it back by pretending he wasn't talking about Trump supporters. He was talking about the one supporter, the comic. They made it supporter apostrophe S. So they go from calling us fascists and Nazis to now garbage. 6 days before the election. 6 days before the election. You got to hand it to good old Scott Jennings over on CNN. He was on a panel last night after this you-know-what hit the fan. Had a great analysis of what, because this is how they feel about us. This is what they treat us with contempt and disdain. Here is this heroic Scott Jennings over on CNN.
Yeah, let me just accept the most charitable framing of this, which you just gave. Why is he sitting in front of a laptop at the exact same moment Kamala Harris is out on his backyard trying to give the closing argument to her campaign? What in the world is he doing? Now, I don't accept your framing of it personally because I actually do believe he, Harris, the Democratic Party, and most of their campaign do believe that half the country is garbage. They've also said people who go to Trump rallies are Nazis. And so it's pretty apparent the disdain with which they hold half of the country in.
It's not true. The party already litigated it in Kamala's speech tonight.
But as a tactical matter today,
no, but you don't just get to say
why in the world is Joe Biden giving remarks at the same time as Kamala Harris?
I'll give you that.
And incidentally, the guy said, I'll give you that at the end. Of course it was ridiculous. It's sabotage. It's almost like they're doing this on purpose. Did Joe Biden say this intentionally? Did he torpedo her campaign because he's furious at being thrown down the proverbial basement steps? My gosh. 800-655-MIKE. 800-655-6453. And we're queuing up Kamala's remarks moments ago where she did at least say, I disagree with Biden's comments. Incidentally, just like Trump said he disagreed with the stupid stand-up comic at Madison Square Garden. Now, this will be the big media takeaway. The media takeaway is going to be, see, Harris distances herself and disagrees with Biden. Trump did the same thing with stupid Kill Tony or whatever his name is, the podcaster. Did the exact same thing. Did the exact same turn. They said this does not reflect Trump's views about Puerto Rico. And incidentally, P.S., people are now learning that there is a trash and garbage problem in Puerto Rico. The EPA has sued Puerto Rico because of all the problems there with the trash and the garbage. Wow. What a time to be alive, huh? What a time to be alive. Here's what President Trump said after Marco Rubio informed him at the Pennsylvania rally about Biden's disastrous remarks, which Newsweek claims might just have secured the election for Donald Trump. Here's what President Trump's reaction was on stage last night in Pennsylvania.
Remember Hillary? She said deplorable. And then she said irredeemable, right? But she said deplorable. That didn't work out. Garbage, I think, is worse.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how bad it gets. I mean, is garbage worse than fascist? Is garbage worse than Nazi? Daily Beast called the Madison Square Garden rally the Nazi rally. Huh. And what's most important to me is how undecideds are going to receive this. Are people who are not decided going to be insulted by a political party that is willing to condemn more than half of the American people simply because we don't agree with their politics and their ideology? Gosh, let me get your reaction to all this. I want to open up the phone lines. We'll also play for you what Kamala said moments ago. She did disagree with Biden's garbage remark. At least she's not pretending that he said something he didn't say. 1-800-655-MIKE, 800-655-6453. Step up and join us. All right, I want to get a lot of your phone calls in here to react to this political bombshell, this October surprise. Right before the month ends and 7 days before the election, Joe Biden decided to call all Trump supporters garbage. Incidentally, if you haven't heard it, let's play it again just to make sure you know exactly what he said, because there are people who have the most ridiculous takes. The first attempt claiming that he was blaming the comic. He didn't call the comic garbage. He called Trump supporters garbage. He called more than half of America garbage. Don't believe me? Listen to his own words.
Or Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware, they're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
Now, nothing out of context, no editing. The President of the United States announced that he believes the Trump supporters are garbage. And as Brandon in Washington, D.C. texted me a minute ago, which is a terrific point, if the Democrats hadn't overreacted to the stupid Puerto Rico joke, if the media didn't pretend to be outraged and hysterical, the Democrats' true opinion of most Americans wouldn't have been revealed. That's a great point. I mean, over and over again, Trump seems to step on a rake and then walks away unscathed. The entire Puerto Rico joke has now been overshadowed by the President of the United States denouncing half of America as garbage. Text from Columbia, South Carolina. That was a world leader. That's the commander-in-chief calling us garbage and trash. Not a comedian. Sleepy Joe did more for us last night than he did in the last 4 years. No, it was a big, big moment. And the Democrats can try their best to spin. Kamala, how bad is it for Kamala? How bad is it for the vice president? Well, she broke her rule of no press conferences. She actually huddled with reporters and was asked. I mean, first she did the obligatory, I disagree with what Biden said. She had to do that. There's no way she could have stayed silent. But here's what she said that is so telling and so revealing about Vice President Kamala Harris, the presidential candidate.
Do you sympathize with any voters who do feel offended by or insulted by the garbage comments?
I am running for president of the United States. I will be traveling to 3 states today to do what I have been doing throughout, which is talking with the American people about the fact that, first of all, I get it in terms of the concerns they have about challenges like the price of groceries.
Did you hear that? We didn't edit that. That's like saying, can you tell me how to get to the 7-Eleven down the street? Well, I'm running for president. That's her answer? Play it again. It gets clipped a little bit at the beginning there, Christian. I don't know why. Play the clip for us one more time of the British reporter, or the reporter with the British accent, asking her a simple question. Do you have any sympathy for Americans who are offended by being called garbage by your president, by your chief surrogate, Joe Biden? Let's play that one more time.
Do you sympathize with any voters who do feel offended by or insulted by the garbage comments?
I am running for president of the United States. I will be traveling to 3 states today to do what I have been doing throughout.
I'm surprised you didn't say I was raised in a middle class family. That's the other oldie but goodie for her. Like the tick, like the verbal tick she has. Everything that she's thrown. I was raised in a middle. What are you going to do about the economy? I was raised in a middle class family. What about people offended by being called garbage? I'm running for president of the United States. Yeah, we know you're running, lady.